We continue the countdown to the first big election in Nigeria. It's 11 days to go, and more events are dropping with the speed of light. How well will they shape the elections? Well, worry not. We're here to help you catch your breath and make sense of these ever-changing scenes. Today on the program, the federal government of Nigeria orders immediate investigation into the crash landing of the Vice President Oshibajo's chopper. Chief Tinubu declares impeachment plot against Governor Ambode as the APC leadership wades into Lagos legislative executive face-off. And later on the show, troops on exercise Egoike III arrest thugs with dangerous weapons in Sokoto State. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otidoju and Olayinka Oyegbile. I'm Sulaiman Ale, the journalist. Hangout starts now. The tension generated by the crash landing of the Vice President chopper, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, with about 2 weeks to the general election is better imagined. Nigeria was saved a big tragedy on that weekend when the helicopter in which he was traveling landed in Kogi State. Now, the incident occurred in Kaba, which the Vice President was visiting at that time, in continuation of his engagement with Nigerians on the re-election bid of President Muhammadu Buhari. According to the presidency, the helicopter skidded sideways until it halted on its side a few meters away from the intended landing spot. Now, what the country now contends with is questions raised on what could be responsible, and a full investigation has been ordered by the federal government. Are we chasing real substance or mere protocol of such events? Well, anyway, I think, gentlemen, that's the big one. And as we rightly put it, we were saved a tragedy, and a whole lot has been happening, even from the opposition. Everyone is concerned about what happened on that day. Let me start with you, Babajide Otidoju. When this happened, when the news broke first, what came to mind?
When I heard the news, I recalled immediately that 7 months ago in Gwagwalada, something similar to that happened. The VP's chopper experienced, I think, cabin pressure or something, and it couldn't attain the normal altitude for it to move around. So it was forced to land, what we call emergency landing, which is exactly what happened. When an aircraft does emergency landing, it is called crash landing because it's not expected to land in that way and at that time or even at that spot. So I felt what's happening again, because this had happened earlier to the same man. And honestly, I thought that the chopper was actually one of the choppers on the presidential fleet. But with time, we got to know that it was actually hired. Yes, this is a busy time, campaign time, and the numerous hubs and locations that they need to go to will probably put so much strain on equipment and men. But I don't think that, I think it's condescending to go to the point of hiring
A commercial chopper.
A commercial chopper for the number 2 citizen of our country, because we have police helicopters, we have even nav helicopters that usually service the presidency. So how we couldn't find either a police chopper to take the VP around or even the nav helicopter, I wish I understand. later on, I got information that the remaining choppers on the presidential fleet and the nav chopper, as well as the police chopper, were assigned to accompany the president to Jigawa and Gombe State. So, invariably, the VP had to settle for a 10-year-old.
Because it's a good thing that you're bringing us back, you know, letting us know that this is not the first time it has happened. No. And truly, if we don't go further to nip this in the bud, there just might be other, you know, very unfortunate incident. Now, coming to you, Mr. Yegbile, when this happened, how did you receive the news?
The first thing that came to my mind was that here we go again. Now, going with the background Babajide has given, why should it be at this time? And why is it happening to the Vice President's convoy? There must be very, very deep investigation into it. And maybe, let me divert a little bit. When Babajide spoke about it being that it is condescending for the Vice President to be riding a hired helicopter, I think perhaps what will be in the mind of the presidency is that if you use the police helicopter or you use the Air Force helicopter, what the Vice President was going for is a campaign rally. And the opposition will latch on it that you are using government resources or government equipment when you are going on campaign. There's always a very thin line in dividing that, okay, which one is official? Because as long as he remains the Vice President of Nigeria, even if he's on a campaign trail, he is still the Vice President of Nigeria. So official vehicle, official things will have to be used. It is done. It is not only in Nigeria that it is done. It is worldwide. However, the issue of the consistency how this is happening, it might just be coincidental, but I mean, we must be very, very strict with security of government officials.
It comes back to Babajide, because irrespective of the personality involved now, some of the questions that we should be asking as journalists and as Nigerians is, how is the maintenance of helicopters in Nigeria? Because that again must come to the fore. If this is a commercial chopper, and as is rightly said, sometimes when it's about politics, so many, you know, readings can be adduced to such, you know, trips. Yeah. But how often do we service such choppers, knowing full well that it takes off, it lands, and how many hours do they look into before they say, okay, it is due to be serviced? Because now this is coming again from, because Caverton, no, we have to say it, Caverton has issued a release on this. Mm-hmm. That is how we now know the ownership of that particular chopper, that it belongs to Caverton.
No, because some people thought it was a Nigerian Air Force chopper. And there's a video on the internet that has gone viral, actually a military chopper that came down in Mali, and people
and that saying, wasn't the chopper?
Yes. So people are saying, oh, that is the chopper. This is how Oshibajo escaped death and all that. So the Air Force had to come out to say, no, it wasn't a chopper. That was how people got to know that it was actually a chopper hired. Look, Calverton, they have an excellent
track record.
Nobody is saying, oh, these guys are bad or anything like that. But the position of the Vice President is what we are looking at now. It must not get so bad for us that we can't find a chopper serviceable between the presidency, between the presidential fleet, the police, and the Air Force, that we will now resort to hiring. Because look, security can be compromised in the course of hiring those choppers.
Absolutely.
Remember, when you talk about how President Zia of Pakistan died, people talked about the fact that CIA was involved in his in that air crash, and people thought, oh, then this must have been official assassination. They talk about the role that the CIA played. Whether we believe it or not, it's a different reason. That I also remember that when the Chinese got America to build for them what you call a business aircraft, a Boeing business aircraft. You know, the presidential jets are so described because the way the interior is designed is what differentiates it from a normal
one,
aircraft. The Americans put so many bugging devices inside it. But the Chinese, you know, some smart people, it's like they were expecting that they would do it. Yes, give us a luxury aircraft, best for our president. They knew that the Americans are masters at that. And they got what they wanted. But they also got what they did not ask for. Because the Americans inserted bugging devices, you know, dozens of bugging devices inside our aircraft. But the Chinese took their time.
They were cool because
they removed all of those bugging devices and notified them that, oh, we saw all these things.
Thank you very much.
And then they continue to use their thing. Today, China is a great country. They are building aircraft of their own. So in future, they may not even need to ask America to give them a presidential jet. I went to this extent just so that people will know
the security implication.
Yes, the security implication of of hiring choppers or even business jets for your president or for your vice president without having sufficient knowledge of even how it is maintained or even whether it can be compromised. Whether security can be compromised by anyone, especially in the season that we found ourselves. So I'm saying that not for people to think that, oh, we are demonizing the people they had the chopper from, but I believe, it is my strong opinion that within the presidential fleet, within the police and the Air Force, we should be able to find a chopper in this kind of situation, no matter how busy this season is for our vice president.
So irrespective of what you're saying, which is very key here, but again, did you also put into consideration what Mr. Oyegbile has said, saying, for instance, if that had happened, if it was being flown maybe in any of the aircraft, it was being bought with taxpayers' money, and he was going for an election.
This one too is not free. It's
So
probably.
Because not the money. It's not the money, because he raised a very germane point.
Exactly, it is the
use,
the function.
No, I don't think people will say that, because the president did not go to Gombe or Jigawa or everywhere he's going. He goes in his presidential
because I remember
jet.
some time ago, the PDP specifically issued a statement saying that the police chopper is being used for political campaign and political reasons. Perhaps that informed the decision not to use it this time. I don't know.
It's about doing what is right. It's about doing what is right. It's about protecting our leaders. If we must respond every time a caller or someone else in PDP talks, honestly, you will end up not doing anything, because you want to now use them as the mirror for your next actions. Oh, how will they take it? Oh, what if I do this? They are going to complain. Oh, let me not do it. No, we just must do what is right. And I believe that in other countries of the world, countries in the shape of Nigeria, the president makes use of the presidential jet he would not go and hire from a chopper company, as we have seen.
Talking about,
It's
actions.
just about the security. That's the,
Yeah.
Very important. Talking about actions, and one of such actions or comments came from the PDP presidential candidate in his tweet, which many Nigerians have actually commended him. He showed concern. But if you go also to the social media, we have seen people who are followers of these people, divided on how the news was received by these people. That was why I actually started, gentlemen, by asking how you received the news. So I'm sure you've been following such reactions in the social media. What do you make of that as we move towards this election?
As a human being, and as one of the poets said, that anytime any person died, I'm diminished because I'm involved. John Donne. There is no any reasonable human being that will hear about an accident or a tragedy and will gloat over it. Because at the end of the day, that's the way of all flesh. The fact that the presidential candidate of the PDP issued a statement and expressed concern is commendable. And for those who are their followers or their supporters who think it should, things like, who think that such is not...
It serves them right.
I mean, I'm short of words to say, how do you describe such people?
Does that show how much of, I hate to use the word, but it's about hate.
Yeah.
Does that show how much of hate we have seen, in the people when it comes to politics and political matters?
You see, what is there is some people weep more than the bereaved. That is the way I see it. Because the people who are really in the thick of it, who are really concerned, they know what to do and how to express themselves. Let's not
keep Adeleke waiting. He's calling in from Kaduna State. Adeleke, good to have you join us on the show.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Adeleke. And you've been following, and you've heard Babajide and as well Mr. Olayinka. What do you make of that?
I want to give Mr. Babajide, you people are doing a good job. Keep on it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm enjoying the program.
Thank you.
I don't hear you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think he's just called to commend you all for what you're doing. Let's go back to what we're saying. Political leaders, they're getting to show some kind of depth and, understanding inclusive politics, and that is what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar showed in his tweet concerning that very unfortunate incident. I'm coming back to you now. But what we saw from followers, especially in the social media, was quite different from what the leader displayed.
If you go on social media, sometimes you just tell yourself, I shouldn't be here. There's a lot of hate demonstrated, on social media, a lot of irresponsible stuff. The hatred is mutual. It's mutual. There are people that you dare not mention, Jonathan, Namadina Sambo, or even Atiku in their presence.
Yeah.
They do not pretend about it. There are people too who do not want to hear Buhari. And their hatred for Buhari has been transferred to the VP.
Yeah.
Because they can see the VP working hard to stabilize the government, doing his best to make sure that the government is re-elected. So they don't want to hear about him. If they hear the news that the VP has dropped dead today, God forbid, they will jubilate. And it's like that too with the other people. If they hear that Atiku had an accident on his way to Jada and died, they will jubilate, they will be happy about it. I don't know, I don't think at any time in our history it has been this bad. On social media, you see Nigerians demonstrate so much hate for fellow Nigerians. This election has so much divided us the way I've never seen an election divide us. And it's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. We have quite a lot to do. In closing on this very topic, what will be your message to Nigerians on this?
Well, the truth of it is that politics is a game. And in a game, there will always be a winner and there will always be a loser. And there's always another time. So, there is no need for anyone to wish another person dead or for anyone to begin to fight and create unnecessary enemies for himself or herself. That is why, for me, on the social media now, because it is an unregulated field, I hardly discuss politics. Because, I mean...
They are not ready for a healthy debate.
At all.
There are some people that you just read them. You don't need to ask questions about the state of mind of the writer. You know that that's a person who clearly has lost it.
Well, when the ship of politics in Lagos State, southwest of Nigeria, was heading for the rock, when the legislative and executive arms of the government tipped over matters of appropriation, this disagreement led the lawmakers to trigger an impeachment process against Governor Akinwumi Ambode. But the coast has now been cleared for smooth sailing of the ship of governance in the country's commercial capital following the intervention of leadership of the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Now, after a fence-mending meeting involving the APC Governors Advisory Committee, that's the GAC, in Lagos on Sunday, the party's national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, declared the impeachment plot over. In his words, quote, "There is no impeachment. Let there be more communication and consensus building and understanding," end of quote. Now, this is similar to what Babajide postulated when the matter came for discussion on this program on Thursday with Ayo Ozugbakun. Now, let me share it with you here.
I am confident that what is going on will not lead to the impeachment of the governor. If it gets that far, then some people will have demonstrated that they are very irresponsible. The APC controls the House in Lagos. And even some of the PDP members have already defected into the APC. So this is supposed to be a family affair. So I expect reason to prevail in the end. I expect leaders, true leaders of the party, to weigh in at this point and talk to the lawmakers, talk to Governor Akinwumi Ambode. There is no reason for me to believe that there is no one who can talk to Akinwumi Ambode and they will listen, because this is about his political career. This is about even the well-being of the people of Lagos. So this is not a matter that should lead to impeachment.
When there are disagreements among many parties, if there is no compromise, there cannot be consensus. Governor Ambode has to compromise certain things. If we don't want to believe all these allegations, if they are true, then he has to come down and reach an agreement with the members. It is after reaching an agreement that there can be consensus. That consensus is about moving Lagos State forward and dropping the threat to impeach him.
Jide, how do we get out of this logjam? It's not going to be a good thing or a fortunate thing for Governor Akinwumi Ambode to be impeached just barely 4 months to the end of his tenure.
I've told you, Akinwumi Ambode will not be impeached. This will not lead to impeachment. And I'm saying this because I'm certain about it. It will not lead to impeachment. Those who think this will lead to impeachment will wait and wait.
If you ask me, good thing is right here. I want to ask him, are you the oracle?
There are certain things that I'm sure of. And when I'm very sure, I speak with finality, I speak with certainty. I knew they would resolve it. I said it on the program. I said, if this lasts for more than 4 days, then it means there are no leaders in the APC in Lagos. And I think those leaders have challenged themselves they are challenged by the words that proceeded from my mouth, and they've gone ahead to do what is right. If they call the feuding parties, they will listen to them. There are still people here in Lagos that are respected, and that's exactly what has happened. The elders weighed in, and the threat of impeachment is gone. Now I expect the governor to go and present the budget before the lawmakers. He did that on 3 different occasions. Why he wouldn't want to stand before them and present his budget this time around, I do not understand. So you do not send a budget to them and then send a covering letter and tell them that if they have questions, they can call you, that you answer those questions. No, that's not the way budgets are presented. And it is there in our law that you will stand before the House and present your budget. Once you write a letter notifying them of your desire to present the budget, they will choose a date where you will now come before them and read the budget to them. That's the way it should be.
We're not done yet. When we come back, we'll go back and look at this imbroglio between the executive and the legislative arm of Lagos State. Journalist Hangout here continues after now. Good to have you join us again on Journalist Hangout. Quite a lot is happening in the social media, especially on Twitter. It's good to know that you all are following. And again, but before we went on that break, we were looking at what is happening here in Lagos State. The politics of Lagos is quite dynamic and very interesting. And it has to do with what we all woke up to. It wasn't even, we slept with it because it broke in the evening that, look, there was going to be an impeachment move against Governor Ambode. Now, that has been resolved. But let's look at what led to all of that. The budget is one key issue there. And, of course, the manner with which that was presented before the legislators was something that didn't go down well with a whole lot of them.
You see, one of the burden of being a journalist and also especially also appearing on this program is that anywhere people meet you, they accost you. This past weekend...
Welcome to the world.
This past weekend, I was in Ogbomoso and Ilorin for social functions. And I went for a social function to go and enjoy myself.
So you started another hangout there.
Thank you very much. People saw me. Is it true that they want to impeach the Lagos State governor? Come and tell us. I told them, I said, did you watch the last edition? Sometime last week, where Jide and the others were discussing it. They said, hey, but come and tell us, is it true? They didn't allow me to enjoy the social function. But to come back to what we are talking about. Now, from my own perspective, what I see, the way I saw the whole thing, I knew that it was not going to happen. But I guess the legislator knew that if they don't do that, the governor will not do what is appropriate or what is supposed to be done. I mean, everywhere we all know that the governor, the president, even local government chairman, they go to the legislator to present the budget. But you don't send it to them.
Don't you? Are you saying you don't know why that has been? Because,
of course,
because this is not the first time.
No,
he's always done that. So it's not the first year in office.
It is a fallback of the fact that it didn't get a second term. And I think by now, all those bitterness should have been over.
So is it that easy?
It is not that easy, but it should be over. You see, what is happening now?
We're talking about...
Wait, what is happening now in Lagos?
Deep cuts.
What is happening now in Lagos?
Yeah, deep cuts. It doesn't heal.
It is
overnight.
You and I and everyone living in Lagos that is feeling it. Everywhere the roads are bad, the traffic is terrible and all that. We must look beyond the issue. It is not a personal thing.
It's not just about him.
It is not just about him. In fact, if I were to be in his shoes, this is the time, the remaining months, that I will make sure I will work so well that when I leave, Lagosian will come back and say,
one day ask for him to come back.
why did they allow this man? You know, he should have worked very hard to make sure that
strongly.
perform very wonderfully, and people will now say that, you see, but with what is happening now, it is bad politics. And I hope he has realized it.
Let me come to Babajide.
Yes.
How would he have handled this? Because if you're talking about, you use the word, you said he should try and finish strong.
Yes, when this thing happened, you know, I've always been an Ambode supporter because I go home every night and I know that he solved that problem of the perennial traffic jam just before Baga with the laybys that is done across the state. That's one area where he has affected me. And then that road in Baga that he expanded and made it beautiful. People can't cross because he also put some railings of sorts there. He's done well. He's done well, no doubt about it. But he did not get his politics right. And sometimes when you don't get your politics right, even if you are a popular governor, you may not be re-elected. You just must get your politics right. There are examples. Mahmouda Shinkafi in Zamfara. He did well during his first term, but he was not re-elected. Even Kaude Fayemi, he did well. He didn't get his politics right, and he was defeated. Defeated because I know some people find it difficult to agree that he was defeated, but he was defeated. So this is the thing. Now you are a governor. You didn't get a second term, and I said, look, let it go. Now work hard.
Before we come back to I'll come back to your working hard. All the examples you've given, I'll tell you, they didn't get the re-election at the polls.
Yes.
So they didn't expect the defeat. But this, you still seated in office, and they're staring. Your own party said, no, it's enough.
No, but there's nothing you can do about that.
So how do you heal?
No, you can hit both ways. You can both ways. Just count yourself fortunate to even be governor in the first place. Because look, if we are to look around, there are people more brilliant than him who will never get the opportunity to rule Lagos for one day. So the Bible says in all things, we should give thanks. You know, so he's been on that seat and he has had the opportunity to improve his state. You go to Ekpe, you go to different places, you see the work that he has done.
You come to my back of the wood, the same thing. He did very well for us.
Nobody can erase his legacy.
No.
It's there. So he should console himself with the fact that he has done well within the time that he was given. But to now go into your cocoon and refuse to finish strong as I advised you, and then show that anger to people. Look, this is the time to even, like the assembly, this is the time to behave to them like you do not really care about what has happened. I know it's difficult because God created us differently. And that's why Mama Vasa said every man is different because every man is himself. You may, your own capacity to absorb shock may not be the same as mine.
Yeah.
So some other persons could have taken that shock a lot better. And they will now walk like that setback never happened. But we know that maybe by his own makeup, he's not that sort of person. But we are saying that, look, instead of making things worse for yourself, let it go. Face the work. Finish up strongly. If you finish up strongly, in future, you may still get that opportunity.
Okay,
you see this happen? Yes. Has it not happened before?
It has happened before.
They did not happen. They did not happen to Abubakar Audu in Kogi.
Yes.
The people called for him. He had ruled them during the Abacha years of Dahaki. But they called for him after 1999.
Yes.
They called for him.
Come back.
And he won the election again. So If that is because he had achievements to point at. So who says that in future he cannot get another chance? Who says so? But it's not by trashing around that you get another chance. It's not by fighting people. It's not by giving people in Lagos the feeling that because of the setback that you suffered, that's why governance appears to have taken a back seat. No. Those roads in Ogba and other places that are in deplorable state, go there and fix those roads. Finish strongly. If you finish strongly, the future will be kind to you. That's my advice for him. That's my advice.
So I think we've dwelt pretty much on that, and we're hoping that the governor and his lieutenants are actually watching, and pretty much can be done on that. In our brand of politics, democracy and electoral violence have become a sort of Siamese twins. Now, that demand thorough surgical operation to separate them so that they can never be together. Now, a flash of what could play out during the forthcoming elections in Nigeria was revealed in Sokoto State. Now, it was reported that troops on Exercise Egwike, that's the third one, recovered dangerous weapons from some suspected criminals and political thugs in the northwest of Nigeria. According to a statement by the Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukasheka, the 16 suspects who were arrested along Ilela Danfulani Guadabawa Road were armed to the teeth, if you know what I mean. A mild but dangerous drama, however, played out at the scene when a prominent politician in the state came there and ordered his mobile police escorts to do what? Release the suspects. Gentlemen, I am so miffed reading that. If that hadn't come from the military authorities, I think I would have doubted that as one other fake news. Let's start with you, Olayinka. How did you take that?
Politics is here. You hear a lot of strange things happening. Why will people who have been found with dangerous weapons be asked to be released? You see, what it means is that politicians are usually the people arming or making these people to do what they are doing. Although you will also know that there have been strange faces and people coming around. If you in Lagos, we see them, but you see, it is not as much as when you go to the northern part. And even here in Lagos, there are some, I speak Hausa very well. You speak Hausa to them, they don't understand a word of Hausa, and you think they are Nigerians. So some of them that understand their own variety or version of Hausa is not the Nigerian one. They are obviously foreigners. And all these people are being allowed to come in, to go into the suburb and the inner caucus of the country. We don't know what it is they are planning. If the military were not on this exercise and they were allowed to fester, who knows what will happen? This is the same way we started the Boko Haram business. We remember the man from is it Niger or was it the one that started the Bulukutu thing in Maiduguri at that time? Metasine. It is just the same way. And for a politician to now come out to say that they should be released, in a sane society, that politician by now should be under arrest and be tried.
I think it's a good thing there. They're talking about said politician must be under arrest now. But I'm looking at two things here. A prominent politician and the mobile policemen who were asked to effect the release of these criminals.
No, it's, you see, first and foremost, this is not new in Sokoto State. It is the aftermath of the bitter rivalry between Bafarawa, former Governor Bafarawa, and Wamako, who used to be his deputy. Wamako was asked to resign, and then he went, formed his own group, and became governor. Both men were hiring thugs, drugging young men, you know, because they both were like in a contest. Oh, I must ensure that I have more thugs than you, so that you will not be able to, you won't be able to overcome us if we are going
So
to
it
somewhere.
was more or less like a fight of
Yes,
dominance.
yes, between them. They were harming the boys, drugging the boys, and you see, when they are going, you see them carrying dangerous weapons. They are going, and they burn the houses of politicians. A politician, a former National Assembly member, was here in Lagos from Sokoto when he heard that his house had been set ablaze by thugs. They just gave him the
phone call.
Ankuna Gidanka. So what did he say? He said, "Idam bizaku here Ramaba, Kudena Kirana." That if you will not be able to revenge or avenge the burning of my house, then stop calling me. And they went and set ablaze the home of his opponent. So this is like normal in Sokoto State, and a governor in Sokoto State went as far as designating a cabinet member to go anytime they arrest thugs that are loyal to him. His duty was to go and set those thugs free. They set aside hefty money for him just for that purpose. So this is not simply an APC PDP affair. It's a national security issue.
And that's why
because
I'm also
this
saying,
is where Boko Haram or other groups.
Absolutely.
This is how it spreads
Because
up.
if you put it side by side with what Olayinka said, talking about these foreigners making incursion into Nigeria is very clear, and Jermaine, what you've just highlighted. But again, Babajide, you still have not talked about bringing the police into this whole equation, because if you say we have politicians who go around to effect release of these people, then
No,
the
they
police
just bribe the
authorities...
policemen, they bribe the police, and the police will release. They bribe police commissioners, and some of those police commissioners, we are seeing them being promoted now to AIG, to other positions. People who have a history of taking bribe. You just give them money and they release these boys.
You know,
It also, it happened in Kogitu. Murder suspects, including one who confessed. His confession has gone viral. They will just give an instruction, maybe the governor, oh yeah, go and release. And they release them so that they can kill more people. I don't know what's wrong with
but
us.
again, we can't sit idly by and watch these things go. Anytime we talk about non-violence in our elections, these are issues leading up to elections, and they actually fester during election, and that's why we're here looking at what has happened. How can we nip this in the bud, knowing that we know some of the characters who actually ignite, or who are the puppet masters of this, crisis?
The puppet masters, they know themselves. And some of them are even the ones that are in power. We're speaking now about a governor who ordered the release of some suspects. The ones that they don't order for their release are those who are not in their camp. But if we allow the law, the law is blind. That is what they say. And that's why the insignia of law, they tie the face. If we allow the law to take its course in every situation like that, we will have a better country. For instance, if I were to be a politician now, or a governor or whatever, and someone I know who is my supporter is accused or arrested for killing or for maiming an opponent, and I close my eyes that let the law take its course, next time, other people will not do it. But we find ourselves in a situation where our politicians don't allow that to happen. It only happens if it is the opposition or those not
Or
in
those who don't have power.
that are caught. We must make sure laws are obeyed. And it is the same thing that is making everything to happen.
Look at the weapons.
When you are traveling or when you are in road traffic, who mostly are the lawbreakers? Is it not a man in uniform? When the law about not driving Okada and carrying passengers was passed, you will see a man driving Okada, carrying passenger. He will either put a tattered army
On the bike.
dress on, or put the cap or somewhere. They stop him
with no license plate.
exactly.
On the bike.
When they stop him, they say spirit they call whatever, they allow him to go. This is why that is why we are today.
We don't enforce
If
our
you
laws.
allow the law to take its course, everybody will fall in line. Why should a politician go and say that, assuming that politician, if it were to be his own son or a relation that was killed, will he go there and say that, release him? No. But we always allow things to go haywire because we always think...
That's why we're here, because
yes.
we're actually closing on this. That's why we're here. And I'll bring this up, Babajide. There must be something that we can do to effect such change. We must fix the country. And, while we were talking about the blindfold on the symbol of law,
Yeah.
I was just saying to myself, is it that the blindfold is off the lady's eyes? And now that's why we're getting to see all of this, well, just on a lighter note. But
Maybe it has never been there.
you know
As
how
it relates to
I don't know,
Nigeria.
you know how they do growing up, playing hide and seek and say close your eyes, and
Yes,
some
yes,
children
yeah,
can just
yeah.
open a little bit, win the whole. No, what do we do going forward? How can we solve this? Because the Sokoto episode is very, very awful. I understand I have a caller, and hello, good to have you join us on the program. Dari.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, Dari, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. You see, until our security agencies put on their professional training, they will keep having this kind of thing going on. The military, the police should not allow the politicians to dictate the tone of their job to them. Yeah. So they must remain afloat. Anybody that goes against the law, even if you are the governor of a state, you got to book. They should not allow the politician at all to rubbish them. They must be professional in their duties. Now, if you commit an offense and the governor says, come, release this man, it's not that this man has actually committed this offense. Why release him? Babajide, when next to Kaduna, please, I want to meet with you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dari. All the Kaduna people, they want to meet with you. Well, anyway, let's close on this because he's raised a very important aspect of this problem. And he's saying, and it would seem as if the security operatives don't also know that the politicians, some politicians sort of make their jobs very difficult.
Yes,
if they place an order and say, release this criminal, and you go out again to search for that same criminal. So how can we put a stop into the circle of arrest, release, and pick again?
You see, the problem is with the big and decadent politicians that we have all over the place. The policemen are bound to fear them. I remember arguing with a policeman, and he said, look, they accuse us of not doing our job. But when we do our job and we arrest these felons, someone big will call from Abuja and say, release. You could even call the IG, and the IG will order the commissioner of police in the state to release. Because the IG too will realize that these are powerful people that he cannot go against their word. And we'll go ahead. So the problem lies with the politicians. They are the ones feeding these boys with drugs. They are the ones arming these boys. So our politics shouldn't be signposted by violence. Because we see politics in other lands. They don't carry court girls. They don't carry guns to campaign grounds. But go to some campaign grounds in northern Nigeria and you see people with dangerous weapons. They are going for rally. So that at that point, they are in the mood to kill. You dare not cross their path.
People on their way there, they shove you off with...
Yes, that is the thing. They are sending a message to you that you better not move close. So that is the thing. And they too know that they have to be prepared because their opponents who attack them. So our politics should not be supported by violence. Politics, yes, is an interest-driven game, but we should not make politics look like a life and death affair. And there's the politicians who have to change. They are the ones corrupting the police. There are few policemen who will stand up to a politician and say, no, I will not take your bribe. I mentioned one commissioner of police in Osun State the other day. There are not many of him in the force who will stand up to a policeman, to a politician and say, keep your money. Fimihan is there. There are policemen in Nigeria who want to do their work in a decent manner. But these decadent politicians will not allow them.
Is there a way out, Olainka?
Well, the way out is one of what we are doing now, to keep talking about it. Because when you keep talking about it, and especially if we know one...
It's frustrating. How can the soldiers arrest people and then you go and free them? That does not encourage them to do that next time.
We need to follow it up for people to know who is this politician that ordered the release and what has happened to him or her. And those are the issues that must be followed. And that's the way we can make sure that we eradicate this.
Now, in your closing moment on this, because what comes to mind is Mohammed Yusuf. Recall how the military handed over some of those suspects to the police, and thereafter we saw the extrajudicial killing of Mohammed Yusuf, and today we have Boko Haram on our hands. So what recipe do you think we can actually bring on this, very sore issue?
So I think even constant training of the police. We need to look at recruitment. A lot of the people in the police today are never-do-wells. People who felt that, look, this is the only place where I can find a job. They never liked the profession. It wasn't their passion from childhood to join the police. But they just saw the police as a kind of stopgap arrangement. Where do I go now? No job. And then ended up in the police. Some of them, criminals, who have no business being in the police, they found their way into the police because that's the only job that they could find at that time. So the recruitment has to be top-notch. The right people must be recruited into the police. The bad eggs must be flushed out. Then training must be consistent. They have training facilities, training schools that are moribund. They should revive them, train the police, give them the right tools, motivate them sufficiently so that they can at least turn away from bribery. So that corruption will reduce. When corruption reduces significantly in the police, all these things will stop. Institutional measures to deter policemen from being corrupt should come into play.
Okay, many thanks, gentlemen. Many thanks, and Olainka, many thanks.
Welcome to Journalist Hangout.
Thank you. That's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another edition of this program. Watch the repeat broadcast pretty much later at 11 p.m. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Sulaiman Alede. See you again, and God bless Nigeria.